Unfiltered Improv. Full-flavored comedy from Toledo and beyond. Hello and welcome to Unfiltered Improvised Comedy right here on the radio. Homegrown Toledo Creatives from Toledo and beyond. Tonight's players are Paul Bergman, Greg Schmitz, Lillian Lee, Kate Britt, Mark Holliday, Brian Poplowski, Josh Kyden, and yours truly, Robin Molly. Our first game is called Good News, Bad News. You know what the news? It always sucks, but not tonight. We're going to make it good and bad and then good again, just for you. To get started, Josh, your suggestion is tigers.
The good news about tigers is that they're delicious if cooked properly.
The bad news about tigers being delicious if they're cooked properly is your mom and I didn't want to tell you this before, but you're adopted and you're a tiger. So you better watch out because some people are going to try and eat you.
Well, and the good news about being at risk of having somebody eat you because you're a tiger is you might be adopted by the SPCA.
Paul, why don't you go ahead and give us the next suggestion?
Let's see here. Lillian, give us the good news about photographers.
The good news about photographers is that you'll always know when you're dating someone insufferable.
Oh, nice.
I don't even know what that means.
The bad news about knowing when you're dating someone insufferable is that you're going to really internalize that and think, what does that say about me if these are the kind of people that I'm willing to be seen with?
And the good news about self-analyzing who you go out with is personal growth and maybe finding someone that you can have a long-term partnership with. Mark, what's the good news about oranges?
Well, the good news about oranges is that this time of year, they're in season. So I can eat like a box of citrus and be super healthy with vitamin C.
Well, the bad news about being super healthy with vitamin C is that you are neglecting vitamin D, and vitamin D is a real D if you don't get enough of it.
The good news about not getting enough vitamin D is that go on pretty much any dating site and you can get all the vitamin D you want pretty easily. Brian, can you give us the good news about puns?
Oh, but this is going to be a struggle. The good news about puns is they take absolutely no effort or thought to come up with.
The bad news about puns taking no effort to come up with is that your friends will cringe when you say those jokes.
The good news about having friends that cringe when you say those jokes is that you have friends at all if you're using puns.
Oh, silver lining on the cloud.
Greg, can you give us the good news about childproof toilets?
The good news about childproof toilets, need I even say it out loud, is that your child's not going to be putting their nose where it doesn't belong, and it actually prevents them from drowning in your toilet, which is great.
The bad news about preventing your child from drowning in your toilet is that your child, doesn't learn to avoid bodies of water and may end up drowning in a much larger body of water.
There you go.
Yeah. And then the good news about your child possibly drowning in a larger body of water is that
Oh, definitely.
it'll be less. I mean, less of a big deal when it's on the news, so you won't get as much fanfare over it as if it were other than the toilet. Toilet would be a big
More embarrassing.
Hey, Robin, why don't you give me the good news about space heaters?
The good news about space heaters is that you no longer have to wear 3 pairs of socks in the house. If you get a good space heater, you can scale back to 2, maybe even just 1 pair of socks at a time.
Mhm. The bad news about only wearing 1 pair of socks at a time is that when a puppet emergency arises, you're not going to have your spares on hand.
Or on foot.
The good news about not having your spares on hand when a puppet emergency arises is that there's no way for you to find out that your hand is actually possessed and that it's an evil undead puppet who's been trying to kill you this whole time.
That's bad.
Hey, Paul, why don't you give us the good news about not following directions?
The good news about not following directions is that you might find yourself in a place that you'd rather be anyway.
The bad news about finding yourself in a place that you'd rather be anyways is that you don't know how to leave.
The good news about not knowing how to leave is that gives you a beautiful opportunity to get to know a stranger, to ask for directions, which everyone loves doing.
Well, we all know that I love asking for directions when I get lost, and I get lost a lot. Including right now in my own dumb words and thoughts and all the things preventing me from successfully hosting this show. All right, our next game is called Foursquare. We're going to hand things over to Josh so he can host it for us.
Great. This game is called Foursquare. Our players will be Robin, Mark, Brian, and Kate in that order. We're going to get, for each pair, a suggestion. We're going to rotate through their scenes a couple times. So we'll get 4 different scenes, 2 different times. By my math, that should be 47 to 53 scenes for the price of none. So for Robin and Mark, can I get an exclamation?
Hey!
Hey! Okay. For Mark and Brian, can I get an old-timey word?
Jalopy.
Jalopy. For I guess Brian and Kate, can I get a nonsense word?
Googleplex.
Google, was that Googleplex?
Mm-hmm.
Googleplex. And for Kate and Robin, the title of a children's book.
Sharks are deadly, beware.
Sharks are deadly, beware. Let's rotate through those pairs.
What are deadly?
Sharks.
Okay.
We will rotate through those suggestions. Let's just, through the pairs, hear those suggestions one more time and then leap right in. So, Robin and Mark.
Hey!
Mark and Brian.
Jalopy!
Brian and Kate.
Googleplex.
And Kate and Robin.
Sharks are dangerous.
Deadly.
Deadly.
Beware.
And Robin and Mark, take it away.
Hey.
It's for horses, okay? It's for the horses. Just
Hand me more hay. These horses are starving over here.
yeah, I'm unloading it as fast as I can, Robin. I'm not very strong though. I'm not a great farmhand.
If you weren't so good in the sack, I would have fired you as a farmhand so long ago.
I know. I grew up making lattes and now I'm doing this. But yeah, luckily my sexual prowess preceded me in this job interview.
And those latte skills really come in handy when I let you stay overnight.
Yeah, they do.
The next morning it would be rough without all the extra caffeine you give me.
A lot of caffeine. The only reason I'm as good as I am with these bundles of hay is because of all the lattes. I drink 8 lattes a day.
That's a horse load of lattes.
Hey.
All right. I finally figured out what our YouTube hook is going to be.
Yeah.
You all right?
Yeah. Clear my throat. I was just clearing my throat a little bit. I want to hear about the YouTube, though. All right,
Wolfman. Yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drive around the world in a jalopy.
Oh, I like that idea. Driving in the jalopy.
Man, can you just leave your work at work? You're not on the radio right now.
All right, Brian, I'm going to leave the work at the work. Okay, I'm talking to you. You got a YouTube channel with driving jalopy around the world.
I mean, frankly, one of the reasons I want us to start a YouTube channel is because I'm tired of listening to you talk like this. And I'm hoping getting you off the air will stop it.
Well, I think we have to wait and see once I get behind the cameras. Maybe I'll be changing my voice up a little bit. But until then, I'm from the swamps and I'm talking like I'm from the swamps.
And rotate.
I love that our employer Google put this ping pong table in the break room.
I mean, I know, like, they should be catering to us because we're like the smartest people ever.
Yeah, I took all of the Khan Academy courses when I was still in middle school. And honestly, I earned my $100 million salary.
100% you did. You are awesome. And, you know, I know HTML, so I can write a lot of code.
Whoa, old timer. Don't bring that early 2000s coding language here. This is a Gen Z space.
Wait, what? Are you throwing shade on me?
Yeah, that was part of my contract. I get to insult anyone over 35.
Wow. Wow. I think you know what it's time for. An old-fashioned Google code off to the death.
And rotate.
Mommy.
Yes, dear.
These sharks have been circling around our boat for like 20 minutes. I'm getting a little worried.
Me too, dear. I mean, we got to face the facts. The environmental hazards of the world today just make it so that these sharks don't have enough clean fish to eat, and they are looking at us for lunch.
That is a very scary fact, Mommy. I don't want to be eaten by a shark.
It's all right. I've got the solution. Mommy always carries lots of motor oil in my backpack with me, just for this reason.
Mommy, you can do anything. Thank you.
So
And
here's
rotate.
what we do.
I didn't mean for this to happen, Robin, but someone fed the horses some motor oil.
It was.
I was feeding them hay. There was plenty of hay. It wasn't because I'm a slow hay stacker at all.
No, I doused that hay in motor oil. I did it.
Set me up.
I didn't think that you'd be dumb enough to feed it to the horses. I was thinking that we could maybe take a roll in the hay once.
That really sounds great. I would have loved that, but I'm not a farmhand. I'm not a natural born farmhand. I'm good at lattes, not at deciphering what hay a horse should eat.
I thought that by dousing it in motor oil, you would realize that it was the lubricated hay for, other things.
I'm not that smart, Robin. Not that smart.
That's all right. You make up for it in other ways. Now I'm going to need you to loosen that belt.
And rotate.
Hey, I'm going to need you to loosen that belt. The jalopy is doing something weird, and I think it's the timing belt.
It was the timing belt. And you were so right about that whole, I looked in the comments after our first episode. I had to change it up. They hated the Bayou accent.
I swear to God, every time you speak now, like I get transported to like a land of clouds and sunshine. It's just pure joy.
And that's what we need when we're teaching people how to fix jalopy.
I mean,
it's me.
Yeah, I don't know. Teaching people to fix jalopies is kind of a side effect of just the fact that it's a jalopy and it breaks down constantly.
Yeah, but they wouldn't watch without my airy voice and your good looks.
Yeah, I frankly, I originally intended on not even recording things and just telling you we were doing a YouTube channel.
I needed the feedback though. I needed the comment section.
Feedback, and it worked better than I could have hoped. And So I guess it's time to ask, will you make a jalopy of a marriage with me?
Okay.
You'll think twice before you challenge me to a Google code off again, won't you, old timer?
I mean, I'm about to be killed in the Google nap pod that's set to 11. I regret nothing. I still think HTML is a real programming language, and that's what I told my parents and my grandparents, and they were super impressed. And
You impressed your grandparents?
That's right.
Is that what you did?
That's right, I did.
Wow.
And you Gen Zers are going to get yours when the next one, Gen, I don't know, AA, I don't know how they name these things anymore, comes around, and you're going to get yours.
No battery is going to tell me what's mine and what's not mine.
That rotates.
Mommy, the sharks are on fire now.
They're really pissed off. I've never seen sharks this angry in my entire life. Darling, I made a mistake. They're on fire.
Part of it was my fault. I did throw my cigarette out onto the water.
You really took up smoking at an early age. I raised you so well, darling. You're just like your mama.
I love you, Mommy. And I don't care if we get burned up and eaten by sharks at the same time. I just want you to know this has been the best fishing trip I've ever been on.
Darling, if I'm gonna get eaten by sharks, it's gonna be cradling my little baby girl in this rinky-dinky little rowboat.
And game.
Yay.
A lot of love in that game.
Yeah, I can feel the love tonight.
No jumping the shark there.
Oh.
Handing over to Robin to host the next game.
This game is called Battle Scene. The way this game works is we will have 2 different teams of 2 performers. We will get a suggestion for a location, and both scenes will take place in the same location, but not together. We'll switch back and forth between each scene until I call Battle Scene, at which case these 2 scenes will merge seamlessly into one great big battle scene. So our teams tonight will be Josh and Lillian and Paul and Greg. Let's get started by giving them a suggestion of a location that's, large enough to fit a bunch of different people in a bunch of different places.
An auto factory.
An auto factory. That's your suggestion. Josh and Lillian, take it away.
You're slamming the doors magnificently, Doris.
Thank you. I learned from the best, Otto.
Well, it's not everyone who can graduate from door slamming to windshield wiper placement, but I'd like to think that I moved up and you have now become the master of your art.
I knew I would benefit from being mentoring by Otto himself of Otto Factory.
So when I named the place after myself, I didn't realize I'd be working on the line. At that time, I was a wealthier man. But
that's right. You lost everything in that fire.
I did, except these hands that are so good at fine detail work, like hooking a wiper blade onto a windshield.
I love the way you hook, Otto.
Mm-hmm. And you don't even seem to mind all the scarring and burns.
Well, I say you judge a man not by the scars on his face, but by the love in his heart.
Hey, now I know it's never fun when HR comes down to the floor to say something to you, but we're gonna need you to stop drinking the paint. Now, look, before you give me that look, I've been down here 3 times this week telling you to stop drinking the paint.
But the paint is so delicious. Why does it have to be flavored vanilla? I love vanilla.
It's the only thing that makes it stick, and that. And we've worked on other formulations, and we just need you to meet us halfway, okay?
Well, fine. I'll stop drinking the paint just for you, but only
No
because
butts. What did we say about butts? We said no butts. Okay, fine. I'll hear it. What's your butt?
my butt is that I want you to get me some Haagen-Dazs.
You know how the CEO feels about that type of ice cream in the break room. He's a strange man.
But
Look,
if you can't
if
give me
I
the
can-
Haagen-Dazs, then I can't promise you that I will not refrain from eating the paint.
I guess I have to go back to the drawing board on this one because we certainly can't fire you. You're tenured.
I know.
Switch.
I've been here for so long. I'm the only one.
Now, Otto, this might be the scent of vanilla in the air, but I just have to say, I think I've fallen in love with you.
Oh, Doris. Doris, you really can't see past the horrific scarring and burns that cover 78 to 93% of my body.
It's this other 7% that I find just so dashing. But Otto, we can never be. As long as you are CEO/lineman at your own factory, HR will never allow our love.
Well, I have such mixed feelings here because on the one hand, it sort of bothers me that 7% is all you're drawn toward. And on the other hand, the fact that you're drawn toward me at all is such a miracle. And I feel like I should give up one of those two positions, either CEO or windshield wiper lineman, but it's a hard choice, Doris. And
I wish I could sway you one way or another, but I want you to think of me as pure and true. I honestly don't care which one you give up, Otto. There is no wrong answer with me.
So, no wrong answer. So if this horrifically burned monster of a man were to give up the CEO position and hand off all the remains of his wealth to other people, and just
Well, now I didn't know the handing of the wealth was part of the equation.
Oh, what did I just say? I turned my back for 1 minute and you got blue in the mouth.
Look, I couldn't help
You
it.
promised me.
I know, but why does it have to be vanilla scented? I mean, we go and get back on the vanilla again. It's so good. And look, I don't get fed at home, okay? I don't even get what's the word? Given fluids at home.
Do you need to schedule a meeting with me to talk about this? We have programs in place at the company that can get you out of a bad situation. Your folks aren't feeding you? It's like, I know you're only 8. You can't really use the stove yet, so you got to get your nutrients somewhere.
They're not even around. They're not even at home at all. I just go home to an empty house and I come back to this factory.
How did you even get this job? And how did you even get tenured at 8? I don't.
Battle scene.
Doris.
Oh God! Oh, Otto. Sorry, you don't get used to seeing that.
Sorry, we just needed to bring this conversation into the break room, but is that Haagen-Dazs I smell?
No, it's paint. He's definitely just drinking paint.
It's just the paint, sir.
Yeah, actually, Mr. HR man, paint boy, we're here to announce that Otto is officially given up his CEO-ship, and I am perfectly happy with that.
That's right. I'm handing off all my wealth to Doris so that when she marries me afterward, she can show that her love for me is pure.
See, CEO man, before you relinquish your controls of the company, can you change the rules so that drinking paint is acceptable, please?
For my grandson of mine, anytime.
And scene. All right, we're going to pass things over to Josh to host this last game.
Okay, our final game of the evening is called You Know They're the Child of a Blank. I will give our players a profession or an object, and they will give us a joke starting with, they're the child of a whatever. So if I were to say baseball player, for example, they might say, they're the child of a baseball player because they always strike out on dates. So players, to get us started, how about a candy bar? A candy bar.
They're the child of a candy bar because they're just so sweet.
Oh, you took mine.
They're the child of a candy bar because they got really big mouths.
They're the child of a candy bar because they leave your hands real dirty when you're done with them.
They're the child of candy bar because sometimes they come with nuts and sometimes they don't.
Go ahead.
They're the child of a candy bar because they leave brown streaks everywhere.
They're the child of a candy bar because they're just so wrapped up in themselves.
They're the child of a candy bar because they're just a little baby Ruth.
They're a child of a candy bar because they'll let you mess with any part of her but her finger.
They're the child of a candy bar because they're small and they disappear on Halloween.
They're the child of a candy bar because they come in fun size.
They're the child of a candy bar because you just can't stop eating them.
They're the child of a candy bar because they give you cavities.
They're the child of a candy bar because the parent is a giant factory.
They're the child of a candy bar because they insist on a wrapper.
How about a magnet? A magnet.
They're a child of a magnet because ICP has no idea how they work.
They're the child of a magnet because people find them really polarizing.
Oh.
They're the child of a magnet because you can't keep them off the refrigerator.
They're the child of a magnet because their opposites are attracted to them.
Yep.
They're the child of a magnet because every time you swallow them, you're in trouble.
They're the child of a magnet because they can't get into an MRI.
They're the child of a magnet because there's so much shrapnel always dragging behind them.
They're the child of a magnet because they refuse to fight Magneto.
Go ahead.
That they're a child of a magnet because they erase all your credit cards.
They're the child of a magnet because they miraculously cured my carpal tunnel and my migraine headaches too.
They're the child of a magnet because you can find them in gift shops at the airport.
How about a bartender?
They're the child of a bartender because they have a crippling drinking problem.
They're the child of a bartender because they are a good listener.
They're the child of a bartender because they'll let me owe them $6,000 for like 3 months.
That they're a child of a bartender because their floors are always sticky.
They're the child of a bartender because they give the best advice until you sober up and realize how bad it was.
They're the child of a bartender because they will not stop asking about my long face.
They're the child of a bartender because they never let 1,001 anythings drink in their bar.
They also live with a priest, a rabbi, and a Buddhist.
They're the child of a bartender because they're always playing around on the rocks.
They're the child of a bartender because they'll always ask for ID and check that you're legal.
Okay, and on that note, players, we're going to close things for the evening. Robin, take us home.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Unfiltered Improvised Comedy from Toledo and beyond, right here on the radio, you cool person, you. Hope you'll hear us again next week. Bye. Unfiltered Improv, full-flavored comedy from Toledo and beyond. Hosted by Robin Molly and Josh Kynan. Editing by Robin Molly. recorded for